I'm speaking with Craig Killough, Vice President, Organization Markets at the Project Management Institute. Craig, do you think that public sector leaders should be acting more like private sector leaders?
Not really. I think that the public sector has a relatively unique set of circumstances. It's different doing work in the public sector than the private sector. It's not to say that there are some practices that might be adequately configured to be applicable to the public sector, but striving to act and to be more like a private sector business, I don't think that's a good idea.
So what should public sector leaders be thinking about?
Well, I think that there's they should understand that there are areas of their work and areas that they deal with that are doing some pretty good things, and that to strive to identify what we're doing well. I commonly refer to that in a lot of ways in the public sector they do forensic activity and going down and doing setting committees for finding out what went wrong and trying to discover about the errors in a poor project. To some degree that's necessary, but I view that as looking in the rearview mirror. What we need to be is trying to celebrate and identify good areas, good things that are happening, and try to replicate that in areas of government and public sector, rather than dwelling on the things that we don't do well.
There's a huge challenge, it seems to me, in the public sector as we face increasing lack of resources, shrinking budgets, inability to hire people, and so on. How can project management really help in this world?
Well, the subject of project program portfolio management is being more organized, being able to complete your work in a more effective and cost-effective manner, more transparent, more responsible with identity and accountability areas. It makes things really visible and brings it actually brings problems to the surface quicker than otherwise if you're properly managing the project. So it effectively helps governments run business from a standpoint of new projects and programs that are taking it forward to improve the services to the stakeholders.
And you said that good project management can save up to 11% in terms of dollars.
Well, our research indicates that on the average, that $109 million of every $1 billion invested are wasted in the managing of projects and programs. So we need to get better. Imagine if you were able to make that $109 million available, or that 11% available across the board on our efforts in projects. You'd be able to allocate resources in different, more effective areas, take on more productive work, and maybe accomplish those things that were on the back burner that you were trying to get to for a while.
So is it a matter that we just don't have the expertise in the public sector?
No. I think it's a matter of realizing the critical nature of it. I think there are, as I said, there are areas of excellence that are everywhere in every government. I think it's a matter of identifying those performers in your organization, assigning them properly to the most critical projects, and it's a matter of persistence and discipline. You know? Greatness isn't achieved by circumstance. It's achieved by dedication, hard work, and a decision to be good.
And it would strike me that it would mean also that leaders at the highest levels in the organization need to make it clear that this is mattered and measure people against it.
Well, in the beginning of my talk today, I talked about, why is government pinned with the fact that they don't perform as well on normal day-to-day things, but when it comes down to where there's a national crisis, or they get assigned, the Olympics are awarded to Vancouver, okay? Or the Olympics are awarded to in Korea, or the World Cup games are awarded in Qatar. How come that's always successful? Why are we always able to pull off 10 years from now, we've identified that Olympics is going to be in venue A, and that 10 years from now, on the day that they said it's going to be, that Olympic flame gets ignited and started, and the games start. both winter and summer. It's a lot about stakeholder management, commitment on the part of the senior executives and most responsible officers in the government. It goes to the top. And in a lot of ways, you know, they're afraid of being embarrassed. So the dedication, resources, and all the country's resources are brought to bear to make sure this thing happens.
But it also speaks to your point that it also demonstrates the expertise is there if you can harness it.
It can be. That's correct. Right.
Okay. You had referred to a Treasury Board initiative that was involved with standardization of project management. And I loved your phrase. You said, most people think of standardization as rigid. And I was nodding and saying, yep, I'd be in that category. So why am I wrong?
Well, standardization is something that doesn't imply rigidity, okay? Standardization implies the fact that you need to have consistent language. So when I say it's a widget, you understand what a widget means, okay? And standard practices so that the foundation framework of projects and conducting projects and programs should be practiced. But the capability of configuring it based upon your current situation and project is necessary. But understanding that when I talk about this process, or when I talk about this subject, or when I'm doing procurement, you know, standardization and procurement across an enterprise to the level to which it's the least common denominator in that project is necessary in order for people to work more efficiently. Standardization implies more agility, not rigidity.
You have also said that there's the importance of agility. Could you explain that?
Agility means the ability to react to changing circumstance, the ability for an organization to understand that their commitment to the stakeholders may be evolving, and a lot of times projects in the public sector take a number of years to implement, so that what the project or what the scope is or what the envisioned end business benefit in the beginning of a 5-year project might not be the same as what we thought when we finally get down there. So your organization has to be agile enough to react and to understand how that necessity evolves. So plus the speed of information and the speed at which things are improving. Our ability to process information right now is going through the roof. So organizations have to be capable of reacting and making course corrections and being agile in their addressing the needs of stakeholders.
I really want to pick up on that one because it also speaks to the rigidity. And it strikes me, I can think of examples of huge projects that governments have undertaken that have simply floundered because nobody has been willing to rethink outcomes, rethink process, rethink what is happening. And I'm hearing you say, because of things like technology and just the changing world that we live in, that this is a recipe for disaster.
Well, it's a necessity to be able to do that.
Right, to be able to respond.
Act with rigid or act inflexibility in your thinking is a formula for disaster.
So we've been talking at a very high level, so let me bring it down and ask you as a final question. If you had advice to give to your middle level leader or manager in an organization related to the notion of project management, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is to spend a lot of time in understanding and preparing your people to be able to work effectively within the framework you've provided, okay? You are responsible for enabling them as a leader, enabling your people to be able to do their job. So strive to take away all the unnecessary things. Try to limit the fact that the things that stop doing things you don't really need to be doing, okay? And don't encumber them with unnecessary tasks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Terrific.